Okay, so let's take a look at our sheet. So key concepts. In a right triangle, we have no business talking about the Pythagorean theorem in anything but a right triangle, which means we have a 90-degree angle, which means we have a hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest side, and it's opposite the right angle. Here's the formula that they always teach you. I think it stinks. I think this is a much better formula. Side 1 squared plus side 2 squared equals hypotenuse squared. Now I also know you're not going to spend the time to write that out all the time. So I will go and say, why don't we do a squared plus b squared equals hypotenuse squared. But let's forget this idea of c, because as soon as I give you a triangle where I don't put c on the hypotenuse, if I put c over here, then the Pythagorean theorem as a squared plus b squared equals c squared is wrong. There's no way that this little area can house this area and the big area. These two can't go in the smaller area. And that's what this is saying. So, a squared plus b squared equals hypotenuse squared is a better way to go. We can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of a side of a right triangle if we know the other two sides. So, example 1, find the length of a side. So, the first thing you should always do with every single one of these questions, circle the 90, show the arrow, label the hypotenuse. Do that and you won't go wrong. So, now, Pythagorean theorem is side 1 squared. Yes, I'm going to use my long way. Side 2 squared equals hypotenuse squared. So, it's going to be 10 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. Look what I do now. I rearrange it. I change these to numbers that I'm more comfortable working with. I add them together, and I get 164. But that is c squared. That's the area off this side. I have to use my calculator. I have to use my square root button. 164. And I come up with c equals the square root of 164. C equals approximately 12.8 centimeters, because they told me to round to 1 decimal. See this symbol here? That symbol means approximately equal, which means it's pretty close, but it's not exact. Here's our next example. First thing you do, circle the 90, put the arrow, you've got your hypotenuse. Using my formula, side squared plus side 1 squared plus side 2 squared equals hypotenuse squared, is b squared plus 20 squared equals 24 squared. If you don't have it set up like that, you're going to get it wrong. Change it to numbers that I'm more comfortable working with. Oh, sorry. So it's b squared plus 400 equals 576. Now what we want to do is isolate the b squared. We want to get it by itself. So we want to subtract 400 from this side. We're going to subtract 400 from that side. Your grade 9 teacher started talking to you about it like moving the 400 over. If you move the 400 over, it goes over as negative. Be careful with that thinking. What you're really doing is taking 400 away from this side. So to keep the equality, keep everything equal, we have to subtract 400 on this side. When I get rid of that 400, it's gone, but it's still here, leaving me with b squared equals 176. b equals the square root of 176. 176 square rooted is approximately 13.3. And we're in millimeters. So that shows you the difference. If hypotenuse is unknown, it's by itself. If the hypotenuse is known, then one of the other sides is the unknown, and it's with the other squared. We'll stop the video there, and we'll be right back.